Now I'm all flustered. Welcome to a photography chat live stream where we talk about photography, come together as a community, and you know, I do my best. I like the audience to drive the conversation with questions, and if you want me to talk about anything or if you have any questions about that's photography related, I'll do my best to answer them. That said, let me just back up a little bit, and I just can't believe it. Seriously, I had no sound. So Henning, good to see you. And good morning, Darko. And Darko had a question here, or nice comment here about wishing everyone well. Good image ideas and that stuff. I'm sorry, I'm gonna kind of go through these quickly. I want to get to this question real quick, and I'm gonna abbreviate it this time. But Darko asks, if you wanted to effectively market your business, how do you do that? What are the best mechanisms once you have your craft and look style set up? So, uh, as I was saying that you couldn't hear, is that I'm not really the best person to ask. You know, but I would say number one is as with any business, business is a people business, and you have to be good at talking to people and develop a good rapport. I met my first client through a family member that was selling their commercial property, and uh, they asked if I could do the photos. I said, sure, I can do it. You know, I had never done commercial properties before, but I was like, how hard can it be, right? And so I took the photos. The broker liked the photos, and then I offered to build my skill set. And just to back up from your question a little bit, I built my skill set by offering to do like 5 properties for free. And I did those for free, and I built up my skill set specifically for commercial property. And and then I started charging. And then through that, uh, that broker will refer other clients to you potentially. And there's a lot of networking opportunities because a lot of brokers, whether they're real estate agents or commercial brokers that I primarily deal with, they have these monthly events typically where they network together with other brokers and agents and uh, share each other what they have available for sale. And I had been invited to a few of those. I never went, but I had been invited to a few of those. And then those are great opportunities to get new clients, right? Because your work is already out there, your portfolio. It's already on other client sites, right? On their websites. And so that's primarily how I built my commercial business. I never grew it really large because I was very content with the level of work I was getting. And I wasn't quite sure I wanted to do it for a living. And I really never did. It's just kind of a side job for me, doing commercial properties. And but you have to price your work accordingly to your skill set, right? Because there's a lot of competition, either from other photographers directly or entire mill houses or organizations, companies that do nothing but that kind of photography. And they hire staff of photographers that they pay next to nothing for. They have editors, they pay them next to nothing, and then they charge the clients, uh, you know, a very low price because they're doing it kind of in bulk. So so basically, like any business, you have to be good at networking and have good rapport and be professional. Show up on time, deliver a consistent quality of work, and uh, that should get you started. Now, uh, like I said, there's a lot of competition, and if you really stand out and your work is very unique, then the trick is finding the clients that want your kind of work, right? And want your style, and that's when you can start charging a lot more because then at that point you're unique and you're the only one that can do that particular style of photography. Uh, and the style, and by style, I don't mean necessarily in a creative way. but there's real estate photographers out there that do natural light only. They don't use flash at all on their properties, but they're really good at it. They know how to see the light in a property and capture it in a way that's just amazing. And and that I would say that's kind of next level, right? Where your work is very unique and very at a very high level that people are willing to pay for that particular look and style. Um, the level I'm at is I'm probably better than most commercial photographers out there because I do commercial property. There's not as many commercial photographers out there as there are like real estate, residential type properties. And, uh, and I charge more accordingly, right? So, yeah, it's always a people business. And then one last tip I'll give you is if you want to kind of jumpstart your business, attend sort of like these PPA events, right? Image USA or whatever events you might have wherever you are that are big photography events where they have lots of vendors. Because there'll be vendors there that sell, say, backdrops and accessories and like calendars and tokens. I don't know, just all kinds of stuff. Wedding books, right? They sell all kinds of stuff. But a lot of times, the bigger ones, they'll also offer courses in how to get into that business. And not only will they have courses on how to get into that business, they may even go even further to help you find clients, right? Because the more clients you have, the more work you do, the more stuff you're going to buy from them. So that's another way uh, to sort of expand your business is look for people that are already doing it and doing it successfully and finding a mentor in that business, whether it's a company that sells stuff or another successful photographer. Uh, that's that's another interesting, I think, a really good way uh, to do that is go to these events where they sell gear, but they also have courses, and beyond that, they can act as your agent, stuff like that. Because once you've gone through their course, you now are qualified by that company and in a way that they can recommend you to potential clients. But they have all kinds of things at these events that can help you grow your business as well. So you don't have to do it all by yourself. There's lots of organizations out there that I think can help. I haven't done any of those things personally, so you have to do your own due diligence when you go to these kind of events and make sure they're legit, things like that. But that seemed like a good opportunity. Okay. And good morning, Roger. Good to see you. And Erna, good to see you. And did you like the red tree photo from last stream? And have you ever done light painting like that yourself? So Erna sent me in my photo editing stream a picture of this tree that was red. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how that picture was shot until he told me it was a long exposure and he did light painting. I said, oh, okay, now it makes sense because it wasn't obvious to me that it was a light painted tree or that it was a long exposure. So it just kind of it made it difficult for me to edit the photo when I wasn't sure exactly how it was taken. Uh, but I haven't done a lot of light painting. I do it sometimes, right? Um, Usually with stuff like product photography, right? Where I will light paint. Like you've probably seen pictures of cameras and things that I've taken, and a lot of those I used light painting. So let me see if I can find an example. Like this is a light painted photo, right? I just put it into live comp, and then I used a flash and just popped the flash around this around my Pen F and got a few shots. That's a typical example of the light painting I do time to time. And I got one other one where it's more of an outdoor thing like you did. let me see, like like this one here. This one I took like an LED bar, LED light bar, and then I popped some flashes in the background uh, for these speculars. And I shined a red light inside the truck, and then I painted a little bit around the truck with some different flashes. So I've done these kind of things, right? But nothing like the tree that you did. Uh, so the question is, have I ever done? Yeah, so that's light painting I've done to answer your question. And recently I heard about the OM3 Astro coming out. Will you get it? And I would say absolutely not. This is probably the only OM system camera I would not recommend. Uh, and I haven't used it, and I don't know a whole lot about it. But basically, what it does is it has a modified sensor, infrared filter on top of the sensor that it notches out hydrogen so that you get roughly 4 times as much light for astrophotography because, like 99% of the universe is made of hydrogen or something like that. But basically, you effectively get 4 times more light to the sensor for astrophotography. And that's great, right? But you're paying a premium. Like I think the camera's like $2,600. It's quite, it's more than a regular OM3. And you're paying for a lot of features that you would never use in astrophotography, right? Uh, so I don't see why you would spend all that money. Like you don't normally use focus stacking in astrophotography, right? Uh, or high res shot mode, or what's the other thing? SH2, 150 to 120 frames per second in high speed shutter. You don't use bird detect or car detect or people detect. It has all the OM3 has all of this technology in there that has nothing to do with astrophotography. That is you're paying for. And on top of that, I don't think you can use the camera for regular photography, like just going out and taking pictures of landscapes and people and vacations and street, because the colors are going to be off because of the way the filter is. So I just feel like you're paying for a lot of camera to use it just for one very, very narrow niche in photography. You're much better off for $2,600. You can get a killer. You can get a killer astrophotography setup, right? If you really want to get into it. Now, I've done astrophotography with my OM1 and Pen F EM5 Mark III because I'm not trying to do uh, I'm just trying to use the gear that I already have, and all I had to do was buy a tracker, which was like $300 or $400. And it was a lot of fun when I was doing it more often, and I enjoyed it. And I think that's the best way to use your existing gear if you want to get into astrophotography, is just buy a tracker of some kind, and then you can start doing deep sky astrophotography. And again, that makes sense to me because I'm not buying new camera gear and lenses. I already have a 300 f4. I have an EM1, Pen F, whatever, and all I need is a tracker. That's a good way. But if you want to get serious about astrophotography, you're much better off buying a dedicated astrophotography camera, which might be $600-700, and a telescope for another $600, and one of those little boxes. You can get carried away, right, with astrophotography, but $2,600 will buy you one heck of an astrophotography setup that will do deep sky astrophotography, wide field astrophotography, uh, at a much higher level than just buying a camera, right? Because it doesn't make sense to me that that does all these things that are nothing to do with astrophotography, and they're not usable. So, I hate to do that to OM systems and tell them. I mean, the images I saw on their website coming out of the OM3 Astro camera were amazing, but they were all wide field, and again, very, just one type of astrophotography and you got this $2,600 camera that just is capable of so many things, but you can't use. So I don't see the point of that. I think you're better off. But they got a $600 camera. It has a tiny sensor, but it's like $600. It's fully automated. Uses your phone app, finds the target, does everything, and it'll take really amazing shots uh, for $600. And that's a much better way if you want to get into astrophotography. Is just getting a dedicated Astro setup. And how's the Astro? Yeah, so it's different in that it has the filters. The infrared filter, I think, is cut to leave the hydrogen band open so that you get 4 times as much more light. And in that sense, yeah, it does a great job. But if I could use the OM3 Astro version for everything, then yeah, why not get an Astro version of the OM3 and then have that extra capability? But my use case would be probably like 80-20. 80% of the time I'll be doing normal photography and 20% maybe Astro. That's when I would consider an Astro OM3, but you can't do that. You cannot use an Astro OM3 for regular photography, as far as I know. Now, if I'm wrong on that, I take everything I said back, and I would say go ahead and get it. But I don't think I'm wrong on that. I don't think you can take regular photos. And what if you took a daytime landscape photo, for example, with an Astro camera? Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The colors will be off. You just cannot. You cannot do it. It would take too much editing to fix the colors. So yeah, nobody I know does that. Uses a Astro camera for regular daylight photography. And good morning, Dan. Good to see you. And good to see you, Marcia. And Larry, good to see you. And Darko says the best part of waking up Sunday is knowing. Sorry, my chat just jumped up. Mr. Trek is coming up live as well as the community that is here. Oh, yeah, it's good to see you guys. I appreciate that. And good morning, Julio. Good to see you. And Marcia, absolutely agree. Thank you. And Jeff Painter, always good to see you. And Abhinav, good to see you. And good morning, David. And oh, thank you, Marcia. I appreciate that. And yeah, no sound. I'm so sorry about that. So let me see if I can get back past all this no sound. I can't believe it. I can't believe I had no audio. Let's see. Maybe you should consider. Yeah, I got to do that. I don't know. I'm a little tired today. I had a long day yesterday. I'll share with you guys some photos I took. Okay, Edge Steel says, "Hi Rob, do you have any tips or tricks on separating sets of bracketed sequential images in a camera? I found this particular." Yeah, so what I do is I just put my hand in front of the lens and take a picture and then set up my bracketing or whatever I'm doing. And then when it's done, I set up, I put my hand in front of the lens for the last frame. So that's what I do. I just cover the lens like this, take a picture, and then do the bracketing. And then at the end of it, I cover it back up. That's the easiest way. Sometimes I just point the camera down at the ground, take a picture, then go back. And Thomas is here. Good to see you. It is 8 Celsius. It was close to 0 this morning for me, 33 degrees Fahrenheit. So hopefully this will be the last really freezing day we get. It's going to warm up like double that later today. We're going to be in the 60s, I believe, maybe even 70. But right now it's close to freezing out. And Robin is here. Good to see you. God, I can't believe it. But good to see you, Rob. I'm so sorry again about the sound. Let's see. I have this little microphone off button. Maybe I should. It's a cough button. Like if I have to clear my throat or something, I have a quick button here, and that's what was pushed, and I didn't notice it. Ah, yeah. Talking about the new Pen F Pro camera, right? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm scrolling through very quickly here. Yes, we are live. We love you, Rob. Man, Robin, you've been such a big supporter and fan all these years, and I really appreciate it. And I'm really excited to see everyone, succeeding here in the community, at least on YouTube, and doing well. It's been a great journey over the last 10 years with all of you and my friends here on YouTube. And of course, none of that's possible without our audience, right? The audience and the community we have here, all of you are awesome. And I certainly wouldn't be doing this today if it wasn't, right? And and mistakes are proof that you're trying. That's a good one. Let's see. Let's see. I see everyone talking to Robin because I wasn't live. I was effectively not online without any sound. And let's see. Peter says just got a used 14 to 42 f2.5 to 5.6. Oh, okay. So I think it's a 3.5 to 5.6. Nice little low profile lens, 119. I love that lens. It's awesome. The only caveat to that lens is that uh, I just took it out yesterday, actually, is, because it has a motorized, it comes in and out through a motor. Sometimes the ribbon cable inside breaks and then the lens is dead and it's not worth it to get it fixed. So I ended up buying another one. That happened to me and I know it's happened to others. So uh, this one's been working great. I've had this for many years now, but the one before that, yeah, it stopped working. Uh, so that's definitely an issue. I don't know how widespread the issue is, but enough that I have to mention it, right? Because it's happened to me directly. But other than that, the lens is very sharp, and this lens is what kept me from buying the 12 to 45 f4 Pro because it's only a stop slower on the long end and a little faster on the wide end. And for all intents and purposes, for the photography that I do, it's just as sharp as the 12 to 45 f4 Pro. Uh, I'm not talking about pixel peeping and trying to find differences. I'm just talking about if you take a picture, it looks great. And it's very compact, and that's exactly why I took it with me yesterday, because I can put this on this is the setup I took out yesterday, is my OM3 with the 35 to 100 f2.8 and my kit lens. And I was able to do everything. I went to like a Civil War reenactment. So I'll share a few pictures from that. So I can put this in my pocket, or I can put the other one in my coat pocket. And I got a system that'll do everything. Now, ideally, I could have just had a 12 to 100 Pro like David brought with him. That would have been a perfect lens to bring. The 12 to 100 f4 Pro, that has got to be the most perfect lens for doing events. Because you don't have to swap lenses. I had to swap lenses between this and the 35 to 100. But if I had a 12 to 100 f4 Pro, I wouldn't have to do that. But I can't bring myself to spend $1,000 to replace what I already have a competent system. It's just a little inconvenient. Now, if I was doing events all the time, I would buy a 12 to 100 Pro in a heartbeat. But back to this lens, this is an awesome lens. I've taken so many excellent pictures with this lens. And I take this out as often as I take out my 12 to 45 f4 Pro. I prefer the 12 to 45 f4 Pro primarily because I can easily find filters for it, because you guys know how much I love using filters. Now I do have a polarizer on this one. As you can see, it's kind of sticking out a little. I love, I use polarizers a lot, but it's hard to find those kaleidoscope filters and swirly filters and black mist and all those different filters I like to play around with in this size. So I bought the 12 to 45 Pro. I bought a used one, got a good deal on it. So because I like to use filters, but if you're not a filter person, you can find filter size for this lens. It's not that hard. If you just want a polarize or an ND filter, you can certainly find those in this size. I don't like using step rings on such a small lens because a lot of times once you get everything stepped out, the step rings are going to be bigger than the lens itself. So I can't imagine that's good for the autofocus or the zoom motors that are in there. And Heather, good to see you. Lisa and Tom O ambassadors do quite a lot of lovely light painting. Yes, they are very good. They are awesome photographers and educators for the OM System brand. So yeah, definitely. And Eric is here. Good to see you. Let's see. And don't forget the thumbs up. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. And channel membership for 99 cents. Yep. And I'm trying to put together some more member-only live streams. I'm still working on getting some guests lined up for that. And once I do that, once I kind of get into the rhythm for doing that, we're going to see more members-only live streams with special guests. And Marsh said, I live in a bad light polluted area. Would you recommend a pollution filter? If yes, which one? No, you don't need a light pollution filter. Because a lot of the lighting that's causing the light pollution these days is LED lighting, and they don't have LED lighting light pollution filters. So the light pollution filters were generally designed to take out tungsten type lighting. So, and that's just not the case. Everything is like LED now, and there's no filters for that. So don't worry about it. You just have to take more frames and get a tracker. Because I live like in a Bortle 9, like one of the worst light polluted areas. I'm right next to Washington, D.C. And I was able to squeak out some decent Astro images. And John, good to see you. And the OM3 needs to have a daylight filter accessory. Maybe they can do that. I don't know. And audio is good. Yeah, it is now, hopefully. But thank you, John. And good morning. Good morning this side towards screen. And so Rob, when you're buying Panasonic, when are you buying the Panasonic? I'm not buying that camera. What do they want, like $900 for a little point and shoot? There's just no way. I mean, you're better off buying a used LX100 Mark II, or what else is there? Or brand new, like Sony ZV, what do they call it? The ZV-1? Brand new ZV-1 is less than that, and it's a better camera in my opinion. Now, if you need the zoom range that the TZ300 offers, that's one thing. But yeah, I don't see. I've tried super zooms that are compact cameras. They're not great. They're not great. Not for $900. I might spend $200 for something like that. I ain't spending $900. And good morning, Sri. Good to see you. It's good to see you yesterday. So that reminds me, Sri went with me to the Civil War thing. And actually, the cover photo thumbnail of this live stream has a picture of me at the Civil War thing. I meant to say nightlight pollution filter when I attempted. Yeah, any kind of light pollution filters. Yeah, they're kind of useless now. Sorry, 1 second. Let me find. I haven't really done a lot yet, and I processed these quite a bit. Okay, so there's one of me. Now this is a shot taken with the 14-42 easy kit lens. So I gave David the camera. I said, take a picture of me here in front of, this jacket and rifles. And I bought a little souvenir hat, some this is a I forget what kind of cap it's called, but it's just a souvenir. It doesn't really, it's not very authentic in a lot of ways. Uh, but it's like a Union cavalry hat, I think is what it is, because it's got the muskets kind of in a cross pattern, right, like this on the forehead, and brass buttons on the side. So that's more Union, and of course the navy blue color, but it's just cotton and plastic. The the original hats I think are made of wool, and they have more of a flat top, because they would use the caps, as I found out, as for foraging and collecting things. So the bottom was flat. It had a little round plate in the top, so they could put it on the ground and put things in it. But that was interesting. Um, and here's a shot I took. This was with the 35-100, and I just used Nick Collection. This is a wet plate filter. I thought it looked appropriate for this kind of image. And these are the rifles. So on this shot, I was using SH1, 120 frames per second. And, so I was able to capture the instant, Pro Capture SH1, if I recall. Yeah. So I was able to capture the instant the smoke came out of the barrel of the rifle. So that was pretty neat. In the color version, you can actually see a little orange glow inside the smoke. I'll try and pull that up if you guys are interested. Here's another shot, them just standing around before they fired their weapons. And they did a cannon. They fired off a couple shots from the cannon. And this was an interesting shot in color. And because the glow from the cannon here coming out created this really nice glow. Even though it's pretty bright out, there was still a little bit of an orange glow on this one soldier here. So it's pretty cool. And other than just applying a wet plate filter from Nick Collection, I brushed out a sign that was right here. But other than that, no other changes. This is pretty much the scene. And I'll try and find the original. I didn't really do much editing to this one. Another shot of me standing there, but with the filter applied. This is a little bit earlier in at the event where they're firing the vessels, and it's again this shot here. There's a little bit of an orange glow coming out of the rifle tip in the color version. And in this shot, again, wet plate filter, but I did use Photoshop Remove to remove some benches that were sitting here. There were benches from the park, so it looked a little out of place. So I just deleted that. But other than that, I thought this came out great. And these are from before. Just some stuff around my house. When I can't take pictures, when I don't go out to take pictures, I just take pictures around my house. So this was a red-winged blackbird on a tree in my backyard, and of course the moon was out. This is a daytime shot actually, but I just darkened it and applied some sharpening, and I got this moon shot. This is with the 300 f4. This is just some flowers on a tree. I forget the name of the tree. They look a little bit like cherry blossoms, but they're not. And then, of course, Ellie. Always take pictures of my dog, Ellie. And let's see. There's some some wide shots of me out in the field. I don't know if I showed these last week, but I went out, and this is with the 300 f4 and the OM3. I got some osprey. There's a nest right off the bank, the river bank. So they were flying back and forth. So I got some pretty decent shots of them flying towards me and away from me, because their nest was pretty close. So that was lucky. And then yeah, just series of shots here. This I think this is a red-shouldered hawk. I'm not sure exactly, but it was a little bit on the small side. I typically the hawks I've seen that are kind of this variety were much bigger. This one's a little bit small, but I got a really nice clean shot, and I was able to get up pretty close. So I got lots of good detail in the feathers and things. So that came out really nice. And yeah, there's the osprey again. I got lots of shots of this osprey because, like I said, they were right there. And unfortunately I didn't get any of them catching a fish. He tried here, but he missed. Because I was distracted by this person that was birding. They had their binoculars and they were out birding, and they kept walking up to me and trying to tell me what kind of birds these were and showing me photos of birds that they could be. And I didn't want to be rude, right? Like, just go away, I'm taking pictures. But uh you know uh they they were really they really wanted to tell me about all these different birds that I was looking at. And it's always interesting, right? But you know how it is with birding is you got to be on it. You have to be pay attention to where the birds are, anticipate where they're going to fly. uh, and the moment is gone in a split second, right? So I was trying to concentrate on capturing this osprey flying around, and this really nice lady, really nice, just wanted to have a conversation about birds. I'm like, let's have this conversation after I'm done shooting. But anyway, yeah, this is my backyard. I think you guys saw these last week. I took this with my Pentax K3, with the 55 to 300, and just happened to nail focus on this one. And there's some pigeons. I tried to get some in flight. That was pretty hard. I need to practice a little more with the K3 because it's a much slower camera, and also it doesn't have bird detect and all of the things that we enjoy now with our OM system cameras. So I have to kind of go back old school and try and anticipate a focus point and stay within that focal plane and try to capture them when they fly off and anticipate where they're going to fly. So the skill set required to do these kinds of shots, and this is not a good one, but yeah, the skill set required for this kind of shot is a lot higher than it is with our modern cameras, which do a lot of the work for us these days. And nice spring day for Ellie. And this is like I said, I'm sorry if I showed these last week. I don't know when I took this one. This one was taken. Okay, maybe I didn't show this one last week either. Uh, this is a yellow-bellied woodpecker. I think that's what it is. This is one I've not seen in my backyard before. So this was a nice catch. I didn't get them in flight or anything because he was buried behind all of these branches, and this was the only clean shot I could get of him. But yeah, that was kind of a cool catch. And then, of course, the common grackle. These are all over the place. This is heavily cropped. But yeah, when I can't get out, when I don't get out for, like, when I went out to do the ospreys and things, I just go around my backyard and shoot random things and try different things. And I just get that itch out of the way, right? Like, I got to take a picture today. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do all day long, every day, is just go out and take pictures. But, comes along and you got to do other things like laundry and stuff, right? So Tommy says maybe the used price of my ZS200 will go up since the new one doesn't have an EVF. Maybe. I mean, if you have one, there's not a lot of supply out there, so you can probably sell it at a good price. And which Civil War event did you attend? It's the one at Pamplin Historical Park. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, This was the Pamplin Historical Park. This one here. So I went the first day. It's a 2-day event. The second day they do the actual war reenactment where they're charging each other. But this day, all they did was some demonstrations, and lectures about how they dressed and why they dressed that way and how they survived, the kind of weapons they used. So it's more of an educational part, which for me was actually very interesting. I really enjoyed that. Um, so even though I didn't get like the typical Civil War action shots that you see where everybody's charging down a field and things, I really enjoyed my time out there and getting the photos that I got. So you were a staff photographer for the Civil War News before you changed to digital. Oh wow, it's interesting. And on the rifle shots, did you use Pro Capture or one of the multiple shot settings? Pro Capture is the best way to do. I had my OM3 was set up for birding, so I fumbled a little bit initially, and they didn't fire off constantly. They would like fire 2 or 3 rounds and they were done. So I didn't have my camera set up properly for the first couple. But the very last one that I showed, this one here, I used Pro Capture SH1, this shot here. So I pre-focused on, because SH1 doesn't have continuous focus. So I pre-focused on the rifle barrel, and then I used Pro Capture SH1, and then because I was using a Panasonic lens, I was limited to 50 frames. Well, no, what I meant to say is, even though I was using a Panasonic lens, I could still shoot at 120 frames per second because I'm not relying on autofocus. So I pre-focused here and got the shot. And yes, it was the OM3 is what I used. So let me see, I can pull up. So if I go here's the original shot. So you can see if I just kind of cycle through these. You can see sort of this orange glow right here. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, so that's what I did. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And the shooting shot looks like the real deal. Yeah, it does. I guess, it looked good to me. I don't really know how authentic it looks. There's the edit. I don't know if there's no, there's no compare. Here's the original shot. And then this is my edit. Like I said, there's a, I just used Nik Collection and applied a wet filter, then added a little bit of a sepia tone to it to get it to just look a little more vintage, because they had a few images around there that were taken during the time of the Civil War, and I should have took a picture of one of those, like take a picture of a picture, and then try to duplicate that back home. But I didn't think of that. So I just did the best I could off what I could remember. Okay. Uh, where are we? So that was great. And the birding shot, I did the birding, and that's all I did. And I made that video for, yeah, I didn't do as much shooting this week because I had to make that video for DxO. My first sponsored video ever, which was awesome. I've been doing videos for DxO for years and years for nothing, right? Just basically for ad revenue. And they offered to sponsor one video, and I said, okay, why not, right? It's about time I got sponsored by DxO for something. They have licensed some of my photos before, which was nice too. So what I might do is do a sponsored event at one of there's a photo show coming up in November that I'm going to speak at. So I'll see if I can get them to sponsor that, and that would be cool. So I can make a couple bucks doing what I love, right? That would be nice. And in the end, you guys are all the beneficiary of that. All right. Any other questions or things you guys want to talk about? I, I got I went through a lot of stuff there in the last 30 minutes. That's cool. And Marco's here. Good to see you, Marco. Marco, in my DxO video, I did misspeak uh, where I was talking about the DNG compression of DxO, their new file format, that it compressed, say, 100 megapixel uncompressed DNG, and it compressed it down to like, I don't know, 10 megabytes. I did it again. I called it megapixels. But I misspoke and I kept saying megapixels instead of megabytes. Uh, and I added a note to the video description that I meant to say megabytes and not megapixels. And a couple of people picked up on it. Marco picked up on it like that. Like within the first 5 minutes of the video, he sent me an email and says, Rob, you you said megapixels instead of megabytes. I said, oh, I did? Okay. But in the end, it's fine. I mean, you and one other person caught it, and that was it. I haven't gotten any feedback on that otherwise. And DxO missed it completely because I sent them a preview of the video, a draft before I published it. Just for accuracy, right? And yeah, they didn't catch it either. But that's okay. People got the idea, I think. And I got a lot of great feedback on that video, which I'm very happy with. My next DxO video, it's not going to be sponsored or anything, but it's going to be my editing workflow. Because someone had asked me, do you have a PDF or something? I said, no, I'll just make a video. I have an older video for Photolab 6 about my editing workflow, but things have changed quite a bit since Photolab 6, so I need to update it. And I do Civil War era wet plate photography. It's really not that hard to do, and it looks cool. Oh, that is cool. That is cool. And Marco, just trying to help. Sorry to be. That's not. You're not a pain, Marco. That's very helpful because I was able to quickly put down a note to correct where I misspoke. I put a timestamp on it, and I put a note that I misspoke, and that was very helpful. So I really appreciate it. I said, "You never caught it, right?" Yeah, I know. It's like you have to be really careful because in video they typically talk about megabits. In photography, we talk about megabytes and megapixels, and they're all kind of the same thing, right? Uh, but they're not. Megapixels usually refers to resolution, but that directly translates into megabytes typically, which which is also just a different measurement of the same. It's like centimeters and meters in a way, right? centimeters and meters are the same thing, just one is a different ratio to the other. Uh, so megabits and megabytes are talking about the same thing, just in different sizes. And megapixels is still talking about sizes, 1,000 at a time. I don't know. I messed up. I had a brain fart. I do that all the time. I confuse megabits and megabytes. I mean, I know the difference, but when I'm talking, what comes out may not be exactly what I meant. And yes, a DxO video with workflow. I volunteer at a nature center Friday mornings. I never see your DxO processing. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do a workflow. Probably be about a 30-minute video. Uh, if I really want to walk through everything I do, but it's okay. I mean, I spend a couple hours on a stream every week. It wouldn't be too hard to put together a workflow video. I say that, but it ends up taking days sometimes. Like that little 10-minute video I made for DxO. My God, I spent 2 days on that. I mean, 2 full days of editing and recording. Because I don't use a script. I just say something. If it doesn't sound right, I say it again a different way. If I don't like that, then I say it again. Or if I make a mistake, I say it again. And that I end up recording probably 20 times, just to get one sentence out. And I think if I scripted it, it would definitely be more concise and may not even take as long, right? But I've just never gotten into a workflow of developing a script first for a video and then reading off that script. Usually I'll just make an outline. And for the DxO video, I didn't even make an outline really. I just said, okay, there's only 5 new things or 4 new things in DxO PhotoLab 9.6. So I wrote those things down. I said, okay, let's talk about this. All right, let's talk about this. Show a few examples. It took a long time just to call a few images together that best demonstrated a particular feature. And that's why I like the live streams, the editing live streams, because I'm not cherry picking images. I'm just editing your image. And that's the best way, I think, to really show the tools that DxO has, and also how well it works, right, for denoising and optical corrections and sharpening. Because a lot of videos, they just like mine, we cherry pick images to best illustrate the features of DxO. And I don't want to say it's misleading. It's not. Those are the actual images, right? But it's not the same as, like, when you see your own images being processed by the same software using the same tools. Unlike, it's not too unlike different cameras, right? Uh, Someone goes out with their Nikon, or I go out with my OM3, and we go out and we show all the capabilities of our camera system. We are cherry picking the very best of what it can do, and then somebody gets it in their hands and they're like, well, the Nikon's not really right for me because of this, that, and the other thing. Or the OM3 is not really right for me because of this, that, or the other thing, when they actually start to use it. And trying to promote a particular software, it looks great when someone demos it, but then when you take it home and try it yourself, you might discover this is not really right for me. And that's why I really encourage people to do the free download, the free trial period, and make sure. And that's the good thing about software is typically there's a window where you can download a free trial and see if it's right for you. Because someone asked me the other day about DxO and if they should buy it, and I said, no, I think you should just use the free software that's out there. I don't see how DxO would help you in your situation, because they only shoot JPEG, and DxO is primarily a raw photo editor. So I said, no, don't buy DxO if you're just going to shoot JPEG. I mean, the main benefits of DxO is the raw processing with the denoising and optics module. denoising a JPEG, there's a lot of free software out there that will denoise a JPEG just as good as DxO ever will. I mean, so as always, I try to be fair and honest when I give my opinion, because if you shoot JPEG only, I don't see why you would spend $200 some for a RAW processor. It's just not the right tool. Whiplash says, it was impressive. AI has brought so much in a year. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can do with the DxO AI denoising and the optical corrections that they've done. And of course, the workflow and the tools, I really like the workflow that DxO has. It's really amazing. But I don't think they apply to me. Yeah, these were all about no sound. God, so stupid. You know, and the thing is, it's not the first time that's happened to me. And right before I started the stream, I told myself, don't forget to turn the microphone on. And then I forgot. But okay, I don't see any other questions. If you guys don't have anything, any questions, maybe we can call it here. Have a shorter stream than usual. So I showed my most recent photos. I did see something new on the sensor front from Sony. I forget what it's called exactly, but let me find that. I'm just gonna drop this seed down here. It was on the 43 Rumor site. No, it wasn't. It wasn't there. Sony. Yeah, this is it. I'm going to put a link into the chat section. For you guys that are into gear and sensors and all of that, this is an interesting sensor that's coming out. Now, it's primarily going to be used like in security cameras and dash cams and things like that. But the idea here is that you can basically get an HDR image out of a single shot because they've expanded the dynamic range of the sensor. They say 20 times or 27% improvement. So take a look at this article if you're into this kind of thing. This was a really interesting read. And then they have links in here to other stuff. You can go directly to this. But you know, it's a tiny little 8 megapixel sensor with 4K 60. But it was basically, the idea is they expanded the well capacity somehow of the pixel, and so any, like, you know how a pixel can get saturated and clip the highlights. Well, this stores that additional information into this little high capacity element. Yeah, they're just calling it a high capacity element or new pixel circuit. Somehow it's storing that overflow so it doesn't clip. So you can now expose a little bit further to the right without worrying about clipping your highlights and get more shadow detail, you know, which basically just effectively expanding the dynamic range. And, but yeah, the examples they give here, you can see how the highlight here is blown out. And then over here, it's not. We still have some color and details. And then we also have more detail in the shadows because, like I said, you're able to expose to the right a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see if this technology ever comes to fruit into our consumer cameras. It has, to some extent, in like this Ace Pro 2. It uses a very similar technology uh, to do active HDR, where in real time you take a picture and it's just applying, uh, it's compressing the scene into so you're not blowing highlights and things. And I don't know if this is doing exactly what this processor is doing, because Sony had the Starvis 1 and Starvis 2, which also did kind of the same thing. They expanded the dynamic range. And it works great because I have a dash cam that uses the Starvis 2 technology. But now we're on Starvis 3, which seems to be quite a big jump from the Starvis 1 or Starvis 2. And I suspect what's going on in Ace Pro 2 is it's not actually using this same technology. What it's actually doing is it's capturing the raw image and then compressing it in real time to create the HDR image from a single shot. So I think it's more of a single shot HDR. I can't really talk about it because I don't know for sure, right? I'm just guessing that that's what it's doing is it's taking the raw image and processing it in camera to create an HDR, a single shot HDR, versus what this technology is doing is it's actually really expanding the capability of the sensor, and not doing it in software. So yeah, check that out, and I'll leave you with that thought because I don't see any other questions, and I've kind of covered the little bit that I've done this week. So again, thank you everyone for joining me today. It's been great seeing everyone. You guys have a good day. Try to do that every day, and you'll have a good life. Eat healthy and exercise. And I hope to see you guys all again soon. Thanks for watching.